Today I have Tom Bridge with me, the owner of Durango Nursery and Supply, and I'm going to ask Tom some questions about edging. Seems straightforward at first until you start delving into it. There's all kinds of finer points to it, and I have my opinions, but thought I'd have Tom's opinions and greater experience weigh in. So Tom, the kind of edging that I've enjoyed working with most here in Colorado has been metal edging. I've seen some of the bender board edging become all floppy and mismatched and just look like a mess, so I've tended not to use that. And I've seen the stones put next to each other, cobbled type of things, not work at all because grass goes right in between there. That's the gist of my experience. I'd love for you to comment on those points and tell me what your preferred method of edging is. And to clarify, I guess I would say that I'm thinking of edging being used as a barrier between lawn and the garden bed specifically.
Right, or two mediums of
Two mediums, yeah.
Of landscape, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some thoughts about the metal edging, and my preference is for the bender board, and a few different reasons, and the bender board is thicker, has rounded edges, and it doesn't have the potential danger to pets and children in the yard. And the bender board, I think, won't look untidy if it gets installed properly. Mm. And whatever edging you're using, I think it's important that you don't make the edging the feature, mm-hmm. and that it is nearly invisible.
It's not really meant to be seen, in other words.
Correct.
Right.
And it is just a division from mm-hmm. surface below ground. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you sink your edging in deep enough, the bender board, we have a display here that's worked pretty well for years, so great. We don't have a problem with that.
Now let me ask you, I have only personally installed the metal edging, and that seems a little bit tricky to me. I found it works best with two people, and so I'm partly looking for what to recommend to your average residential homeowner. Do you find one or the other easier to install? Is bender board easy for people to figure out themselves to do correctly?
I think the bender board's a lot easier for a homeowner to use.
Good.
No matter what type of edging, it's always easier with two people.
Okay.
Just how you get jobs done.
Yeah.
But the bender board, you don't need metal saws. You can cut them with just wood saws, either electric or hand saws. You can shave the edges. You can round things. You can make it a little more custom and do it very easily. And you don't have to have metal reciprocating saws that are kind of crazy and loud and dangerous to use.
Right. Yeah, when I've used the metal kind, I've just dealt with, okay, I guess this bed is going to be a little bit bigger here, curve a little more over here because I haven't been prepared to cut the stuff. It's pretty burly stuff.
Yes. One other point on the bender board edging is that it doesn't have the torsional strength that the steel does, the metal edging, and so grade changes can be made within one piece rather than having angles coming together for grade changes.
Okay.
So the bender board has quite a bit more movement in terms of tensile strength.
And how would you compare them in cost?
Let's see. The bender board is more expensive per foot. It probably takes a little less labor to install. And let's see. There's so it's a little bit more expensive.
But just a little, not like double or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay. Great. And is it made of recycled content, do you know?
It is. It's all recycled plastics, and it's when you go to City Market and return your plastic bags, this is the kind of product it goes into. And the company that we buy this from, it's a California-based company, and it's all they do is they recycle plastics and make products that can be used.
And does it come in different colors?
It does. We only carry one because we have to get semi-loads at a time, and it's only one color and stuff like that. So,
but it would be like brown and green, maybe black.
But predominantly it's brown.
Okay.
And I think probably because it comes from California, they have a sort of a redwood looking, sort of a red hue.
Sure.
And what I've decided to carry here is more of a brown view, a brown color.
Right. That
and
works better locally. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Back to the metal edging, when I've used that, I have found it to be effective, and I realize there is the concern with the edge being sharp and maybe tripping over it and such, but my opinion has been that same thing. If that's installed correctly, you won't have that problem there either. Will you comment on that?
Yes, and I think you're right. If it's installed correctly, it certainly minimizes the potential problems. The one of the things too about landscaping is it's dynamic. You install it; it doesn't stay the same. Kids play in the lawn and the beds, and the dogs do, and stuff like that. And weather knocks down some of the mulch, and all of a sudden it becomes exposed. And it's how quick you get on your maintenance to get that so it's not protruding above the surface.
Okay, yeah. I've found that it works great as a barrier against grass when it's sunk all the way down so that the top of the edging is flush with the surface of the soil. Now that may work well for keeping the grass at bay, but it doesn't help much to keep the mulch in the bed. So what do you consider the correct way of installing metal edging as far as that issue is concerned?
It's going to be a little site specific. So I agree with what you're saying, and I think you want to sink the edging down as deep as possible because that will keep it from working its way up during the winters and the frost season. And it does nicely with the grass edge and the mulch. I think one of the best things to do is if you have the grade to be able to do it, that you just have a little small depression next to the edge going into the planting bed where you have more mulch. And so, but sometimes that isn't feasible because of grade changes in the landscape, going up a hill or something like that.
So are you kind of talking about almost like a mini trough
Yes.
where it can catch the mulch there and keep it in? Okay,
Right.
Great. Good. And then as far as longevity, do you feel like the metal and the Bend-A-Board are equal?
The pretty close to being equal. We have the metal edging, when it's scratched, will rust, but we're talking, I think, 20 years plus on anything breaking down. I haven't seen the Bend-A-Board break down, so but I've only been handling that for 5 years.
Oh, okay. And then back to the other materials, I would love for you to comment briefly on using stone as edging or brick or cement. If you like any of those approaches or think any of them are effective or appropriate in certain situations.
I think the stone and the brick can be very attractive and beautiful, and it is always going to be more labor intensive and more expensive to install. It will also be more labor intensive to maintain, just keeping keeping the grass from invading through the edging and through the cracks and stuff like that.
Of the stone,
Of the stone.
or brick?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about cement?
Cement, there is a product, a cement product that they make edging, and you put cement in one end and it spits out a edging, continuous edging. That may be good for a commercial application, but aesthetically I don't think it's appropriate for residential. It looks like a parking lot edge. And also, I'm not quite sure how deep it goes. Maybe just a visual edge. And if you use something like that, I think it's important to make sure the installation is correct. And the installations I've seen of the concrete edging is they have made the edging a feature of the garden, and it looks terrible.
Oh, because then you're bringing edging into the visible area, and like we were talking about with the other types, you want to make them invisible. They're not meant to be a feature.
That's correct.
Yeah, they're just meant to serve a function.
Exactly.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Tom. I think that answers all my questions, and I hope it answers all your questions about edging.
No, thank you, Eve.
Yep.